We were at the famed Luminary Hotel, downtown Fort Myers. It is a spectacular setting. I'd like to thank them for all the great accommodations for Lee Pitts Live. So excited to get him here in the studio. He's better known as the professor of great African history and African American history. The scholar is here. The scholar is here. One Lodovic Kimble, the lead coordinator for basic learning skills. He's also a tutor. Yes, basic learning skills is back with us. Let's bump you in, Professor. Welcome back to Lee Pitts Live, man.
Thank you.
You go back to the days when we first started back in the 1990s.
Yes, sir.
And you're still alive and doing the great work in the community. Before we get into all of that, you have always been about education. How did that become a part of your DNA?
Well, my mother was an educator for one. And I didn't know that was my destiny when I went to college. I started out in electronic engineering, switched to political science, and a biological scientist said to me, "You're in the wrong field. You should be in the science area." So when I took a psychology course, I switched to psychology and found my love. But I found I was in a field where I could provide a service to people who were having mental health crises and things of that nature. That's what I thought I would always do. I started out at Meharry Medical College in the Department of Psychiatry, working for TVA as a career advisement specialist, things of that nature. And then, as I'm getting ready to go work on a PhD in Pullman, Washington, my major advisor called me and says, "Do you know they're looking for professors in Florida?" I said, "That's good." Okay. She said, "You going to interview?" I don't know nothing about it. She said, "Going to interview?" "No." She said, "Why not?" I said, "I have no intention and been a professor." She said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to finish the PhD in experimental, like you, become a researcher, and get licensed as a therapist." She says, "Go to that interview. It is your destiny." I went to that interview, and I was offered jobs at Pasco Hernandez, Broward Community College, Indian River, and Edison. Edison paid for me to come down here, and they offered the contract first. I almost not wanted to stay, because after being here a week, I didn't see enough of us. Coming from Nashville, 55% black, major black university, black doctors, lawyers, and the chief, I wouldn't think I was going to be comfortable. And I met a cab driver by the name of Blue, and I asked him, "Where do African people live?" He said, "Get in my car." He takes me a ride for the Dunbar neighborhood, takes me to Charleston Park, takes me to Harlem Heights. So I'm convinced that enough of us here. I called my wife and says we can move here. We picked up a Jotran truck with a car on the back, and I'm 27 years old. My wife's 23, my son's 4, and we drive to Florida, where I've been here all these years. And during the time that since I got here in 1980, you know I've been rolling up. President of NAACP at 28. I was just sharing with Skinny John. A lot of people don't know that Martin Luther King March only went from St. John's Church to Lovewell's Car Wash prior to me going down here. I took it downtown for the first time. The Quality Life Center, me and Dr. Harris Freeman brought the first dollars. They got that off the ground. The monument for the black soldier downtown was initiated by myself and the American Legion Post that built that monument. So I've always done stuff historical or things related to education. I worked at 4 colleges and 3 public school districts since I've been here. 18 years at Edison, Hodges, which you had your name there, Kaiser University, Premier Nursing College. I even tried to help a little small black college in the end. I've taught in Collier County, Lee County, and DeSoto County. I cannot get my hand off the pulse of teaching. Roy's Basic Learning was really unique because for the years, they would call me and he would say, "I need a tutor." I go tutor for him, and I never would take the pay. Last year, I think when his health was getting bad, he said, "I need you more. I need you to jump in. I need you to go help at the PALS athletic program. Take the pay. It's not a lot of money, but it's a little money to help. Take the pay." Then he asked me would I become the lead teacher there. And then once I became the lead teacher there, now I'm expanding more. I'm on their board. I'm trying to help a market expand. In fact, we just recently offered the opportunity for all the churches in the neighborhood to have basic learning in their church.
That's outstanding.
The kids are already there, the teachers are there.
Let's go back before we go forward. Let's just assume that people are not familiar with basic learning skills. Basic learning skills was here for many years, it left, and now it's back. Tell people what, in a Sesame Street way, what is basic learning skills?
And basic learning really never left. It started in 2006 with the federal government program, Leave No Child Behind. They created providers. Basic Learning was one of the providers that went into the public school, provided tutorial service to the kids, gave them a pre and post test to find out grade level and see if the intervention caused an improvement. Well, through those years, they saw an improvement. Something happened on a state level that the state took it away from providers. The states took it away from providers and decided that they would have teachers do the tutoring in the school. And that's when Roy and Frankie decided to write a nonprofit grant for basic learning, because they saw from the community people saying that their kids are not getting enough service. So they saw low income minority children falling through the crack. They thought we could address the problem if they were to create this nonprofit organization called Basic Learning.
Basic Learning Skills is a tutorial organization that offers tutoring in our community,
Yes.
targeting low income and minority children.
Yes.
My understanding is Basic Learning Skills is offering now free tutorial.
Free tutorial. We pay our tutors, and the only thing we require is the tutors to be college trained.
Okay.
We prefer retired teachers because they understand teaching dynamics. And we pay on a sliding scale depending on the number of kids you have. But we pay better than most. We pay up to $30 an hour.
And you're always still looking for new tutors.
Always looking for new tutors and new sites. For example, we don't have a site in Lehigh. We don't have a site in Cape Coral. Instead of hiring people from Lehigh and Cape Coral to come here, we would love to find a site in Lehigh and find a site in Cape Coral and hire retired teachers and educators there.
When you say Lehigh and Cape Coral, it seems to me that Basic Learning Skills is a Lee County-wide organization, been around for over 16 years, and are hiring and currently on staff are people with certification and skills, not just anybody tutoring the kids.
That's right. The people have to have some training as an educator. We're considering looking at some college students. We have a couple college students who talked about working for us because they're in school working on their degrees. We may change some policies and hire some of those college students to come in and do tutoring for us. But we just interviewed somebody last week that called me. And then Carolyn called me to let me know that where I didn't dig more, that person has no college training. So they probably wouldn't be good for us as a tutor.
As a longtime educator, at the college level, you taught at a lot of different levels. But in this particular case, as a longtime educator and seeing when these children have come into your environment, you're retired now, a program like Basic Learning Skills is just something that they certainly need. Parents need to focus on right now to have their children grow up and have an opportunity to realize their full potential?
Particularly if your children are suffering in areas of language arts and math. Those two areas that we target. But not only do we do that, we teach school behavior. So when in the basic learning session, it's treated like the kids are at school. The kids are learning appropriate behavior to work in a group, to work one-on-one, to stay focused on a project.
Talk about the different levels when the children interface with you at Basic Learning Skills. You accept them at whatever level they are and you move from there. You do some kind of assessment test to see where they are and you move from there. Go.
We do an assessment test to find out where they are on grade level. Then we put them in grade level groups. And then we find a tutor who's skilled either in math or language arts. We have a manual, that program that we use, that we follow. But all our kids have an educational plan. That educational plan tells you what specific area in language arts or math that they're having problems in. So you want to focus on that. And then every month when we turn in our timesheets, we have to do progress reports, show how the students are progressing from month to month.
I'm going to personalize this for a minute. And you mentioned Roy throughout the interview. I'm just letting people know Roy has passed away. That's the great late Roy Kennicks. And his wife Frankie is still alive, and they're doing great jobs, and they were mentors to people like me and you. But you and I are very common in this sense that we can relate because we didn't grow up with silver spoons in our mouths.
No, we didn't.
So a lot of people don't realize that people who grow up in certain communities, they don't get all of this stuff early on. They get left behind. We talk about no child left behind.
Right.
But a lot of times Basic not a lot of times, all the time, based on their economic status, the environment that they grow up in, the education of their parents, financial situation, and all this, immediately get left behind in the growth process. So even though schools are now supposed to be equal, you and I can get you into a history lesson on separate but equal, but the whole genesis of giving people a fair shot to move up, and then when you start having all these standardized tests to get into colleges and all these types of things, if you don't have those fundamentals, you left behind right there, even though we live in a society now where it is perceived that everybody is equal. These schools are not equal, the teachers are not equal, and so on. That's a lot, but let me put it into a question to you, Professor. The whole benefits of basic learning skill is so important to our community that people need to know what?
People need to know that it's available and take advantage of it. The problem we have are getting parents committed to getting their kids to tutoring. For example, last night, we had 7 kids who show up, but we normally have 19. We haven't pulled teeth to say to parents how important it is, and we need to learn from other cultures. The Asian and the Asian community, for example, and the Jewish community have never relied on the American system to teach their kids what they need to know and what they need to know about history. Jews have Wednesday school, kids come and learn about culture and get extra help. The Asians often have Saturday school. That's something that fell in our community. And I think that Mr. Muhammad saw that when he came here. I remember when we formed Quality Life, I'm working at Edison and doing tutoring. I'm doing counseling for AIDS Task Force. And Jada Ross says, you want to get this after school program off the ground, you need to get Professor Kimble. He calls me and says, I hear you helping save the dying, help me save the living. I won't ever forget him saying that. Then I want to know what he meant. He says the school district is failing our children. It is true. Even I saw that when I was at Oak Hammock. We had a good principal there who made sure the kids got equitable stuff. But as an educator, I realized I had to do more. Dr. Duff's program, the Scholars Club had died. So me and Miss Bell, another teacher there, found From Boys to Men and Better You Club to target those same kind of children. Doing what Asians and Jews have always done in our community. What we do with Quality Life, what we do in basic learning is moving in that same direction.
How do you build a relationship with the school district when we say things like what you just said, the school district is failing our kids? Has the school district recognized the fact that there are kids being left through the crack, and what is your relationship with the school district?
Well, part of the problem is on the state level. If you look at our government initiatives on education, he's hurt education in the state of Florida. So we have to address some of these things. For example, African history. I've been complaining to black churches, why aren't you teaching at the church? We're not doing it. I even went to Quality Life and the Historic Society to talk about me teaching it. And if it had not been for all the death in my family in the last couple of months, including Roy was our big brother. And then my biological brother in January, my mother in March. I had already started talking to Jupiter Harmon about teaching African history one Saturday out of the month. We have to step up to the plate as educators and address those needs that's not been addressed by the school district. In our strategic planning meeting the other day, I said to the group, we need to establish a collaborative relationship with the school district. We need to meet somebody to talk about what we're doing. And although they have the inside tutoring, they need to know that children can be referred to programs outside like basic learning, like the Quality Life Center.
How can people support basic learning skills?
There are a couple ways. Financial, and as we advertise, and our website's going to have on there where you can make financial donations. We're heavily supported by the Unitarian Church, who gives a lot. And I don't know if you remember one year for Martin Luther King Day, they gave books away to black children. So this is kind of stuff. Then the other thing is sending your children to our tutoring program. And for all these retired educators who are bored, come and work with us and help expand the program. Let's expand it all over the county. I have one of your fraternity brothers is talking to me out of Naples now.
586.
About bringing it to Naples. So we're just looking at how we can expand this opportunity and how we can get more people involved. I work with another organization that's similar to this, the Florida African American Student Association. We're doing the same kind of thing on the college level. But as African people, we have to start to address the needs of our kids and stop waiting on the public school system to do it.
You were sitting there a few weeks ago or a month or so ago when we had our Lee Pitts Live Person of the Year awards. You could not have missed it when Felicia Morgan, the educator, Fred Morgan's sister, Melvin Morgan's daughter, Howard Sapp and all of that, her last name's Sapp now. When I asked her, I said, how are we doing? How optimistic are you about, she's an educator, how optimistic? She said to the audience, we need people like us to come and help our children to move through this education process. You heard that.
That's right.
How did that resonate when you heard that?
Well, I worked with her at Oak Hammock for 11 years. I know Felicia well, and I know what's going on, because if you look at what DeSantis is doing, DeSantis is running teachers away from Florida, and particularly black and LGBT teachers. They don't want to teach to be micromanaged. I know a teacher just gave up her pension. You know, when a teacher teaches 30 years, they got $1 million in pension. There's a teacher who walked away from that $1 million this year because she refused to be micromanaged. She goes back to school to get a degree in IT, but she walked away from $1 million.
When we're saying this numerous times, it kind of seems like we're talking about basic learning skills in terms of black people. But it's not just that. Though,
no,
right?
we have a lot of European kids in our
clear that up.
Yes, no. When we say low-income kids, we're targeting minority children, but we're targeting low-income children. Some of the kids in our program are European American children who have some of the same problems our kids do. And in fact, if you go to Oak Hammock, where I taught at that school, most of the European American kids came there from low-income homes. Most of your Latin children come from low-income homes. Most of the kids we had at Oak Hammock who were doing well were black children that came from homes of black scholars and educators and black professionals.
The system for basic learning skills is unique in the sense that you go to the children.
Right.
But you also have sites around. I know you do some things with the police, the athletic league, maybe quality of life, Stars Complex, I'm not sure.
Right.
Talk about those two systems. There's a system where you can literally come to their house. The tutor will come to their house and sit there in the living room and kitchen with them on location. And then there are things that are happening out in the community.
There's private tutoring where you can go to the house and tutor. The only problem with that, you got to find somebody who's motivated to go tutor that one child for $16 an hour. Okay, so we do that sometime. What we prefer is getting kids in a group site. Small groups no longer bigger than 5. We get 5 kids in a group, we can pay that tutor $30. Pals Athletic League pays us the first 30 minutes of tutoring called homework help. And they pay us $30 to do that 30 minutes of homework.
Police Athletic League, Fort Myers.
Police Athletic League, that's at the Shady Oaks. With Keith.
I've been
your frat brother's the commander there. And so the first 30 minutes kids have homework. Now kids are not bringing homework, but you have another tutor there named Dr. Gail, who's a retired principal for Naples and built her own school. Gail puts all kinds of educational stuff together.
That's right. There's always homework.
That's right. So when the kids come, don't have homework, we got work for them to do. So first 30 minutes, they do that. The next 30 minutes, we start into either the math or the language arts tutoring.
Love it.
And we're finding out the kids are so behind that small kids, we have to help them take the test. They can understand the words, they understand the choices. Then the other thing we're doing, we're going back to sight words and teaching phonetics. Just last week, I proposed writing a grant to Citrix to see if Citrix would give us money to buy computers. We want a computer in every site. We need dictionaries. We would take a donation. Anybody want to help us? Give us dictionaries. Anybody want to give us computers? We need computers. Because right now, the kids are coming in, we have no computer. They're looking up stuff. They don't know a word. I have to pull out my phone and have them look. Well, I'm not helping the kids if I'm looking the word up for them. When I was in the 5th grade, one of the reasons that got me where I am was a club that I was in 5th grade called the Look It Up Club. I learned in the 5th grade, if you want to know something, look it up. And that's what I try to teach children, to look it up. And one thing as an educator, too long have we done the work for children. Teachers have to be about the business of teaching children how to teach themselves.
I want to make sure before you leave that, to your knowledge, I know you mentioned the Police Athletic League is one of the locations. Am I correct in that Quality Life Center is now partnering with you?
Yes,
Name
sir.
some of your partnering organizations.
Stars Complex, AFCAM Center, which is Catholic Charities, Tice Elementary, and some daycares. We're looking at daycares.
When people call this number, they can get more details, 239-443-7296. That's 239-443-7296. What is your hope long-term for an organization like Basic Learning Skills and its impact on the community?
My long-term hope is Roy's long-term dream. Roy tried to turn basic learning into a school, and it failed. I still think that as we develop this tutoring program as we grow, we need to eventually look at a predominantly private African-American school that target our children that don't survive in the public school system, and we can provide their services. We got these church schools. We see what's happening now with evangelical buying Hodges, moving up. Why is he doing that? Because the governor has now released that money where you can get a voucher, leave public school and go there. We Africans need to take advantage of it. I heard somebody say recently, we need to take advantage of it because we start a private school and we don't have to follow the state curriculum. We can have our own curriculum. I think it's time we move in that direction. I just posted something on Facebook. If all the HBCUs would start by starting their own schools on campus, we could begin to address this problem inequity in public school.
My man, the professor, ladies and gentlemen, the professor was here, Lodovic Kimble, the lead coordinator and a tutor for Basic Learning Skills. Professor, been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you. And like I always say, thank God for the rumor.
Thank God for the rumor. Come from Martin Luther King. Remember, Miami might have the oranges, but Basic Learning Skills has got the
juice.
They got the juice. We'll see.
Lee Pitts Live is a Lee Pitts Enterprise production.
Hello everybody, this is Lee. I'm so glad that you watched that particular show, and if you enjoyed that show, we got other shows like that. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch Lee Pitts Live on demand anytime, and also hit us up on all our social media platforms. Just type in Lee Pitts Live, and there you go.